You probably think our caveman ancestors lived miserable, brutal, and tragically short lives. What if I told you they were actually taller, stronger, and significantly less stressed than you are right now? The truth is, everything you have been taught about the progress of human civilization is a massive, exhausting lie. But hold on, because the biggest twist about your daily 9-to-5 grind is hiding at the very end of this video. Look at your life today. You wake up to a blaring alarm. You sit in traffic. You stare at a glowing rectangle for 8 hours, carefully pretending to look busy when your boss walks by. You call this advanced civilization? A prehistoric hunter-gatherer would look at your schedule and assume you were serving a prison sentence. We have this collective delusion that before the invention of the office cubicle, humans were just constantly fleeing from saber-toothed tigers. We picture them huddled in cold caves, chewing on raw twigs, desperately hoping to survive until Tuesday. Science, however, tells a wildly different story. Archaeologists have compared the skeletons of early hunter-gatherers to those of early farmers. The results are utterly embarrassing for modern society. Before agriculture, humans were remarkably tall and robust. They had thick, strong bones built from diverse, nutrient-rich diets. Their teeth were nearly perfect. Yes, perfectly straight, cavity-free teeth without a single trip to a wildly expensive orthodontist. But then, about 10,000 years ago, we made the worst mistake in human history. We invented farming. And this is where the tragedy truly begins. The skeletons of early farmers show a dramatic and sudden decline in health. They instantly became shorter. Their bones showed severe signs of nutritional deficiency and constant malnutrition. Their spines and joints were riddled with arthritis from the grueling, repetitive labor of plowing fields. Their teeth became packed with cavities, thanks to a new grain-heavy diet. We traded a rich buffet of wild plants and lean meats for a lifetime of plain porridge. Congratulations, humanity! You invented bread, and it immediately ruined your posture and your smile. But physical health is only half of the tragic comedy we call modern life. Let us talk about your work-life balance. Today, you are expected to work 40, 50, or even 60 hours a week. You do this just to afford a box in the sky and a car to drive to the job that pays for the box. How much did ancient humans work? Anthropologists studied modern hunter-gatherer tribes to find out. The answer will make you want to throw your laptop out the window. They worked about 15 to 20 hours a week. That is roughly 2.5 days of actual effort. Finding food, building shelter, and crafting tools took up a mere fraction of their time. The rest of the week was entirely theirs. What on earth did they do with all that free time? They did exactly what you do on vacation. They gossiped. They took long, luxurious naps in the middle of the afternoon. They played with their children. They spent hours just hanging out, grooming each other, and telling jokes. In fact, deep social bonding was their actual full-time job. In a world without money, your survival depended entirely on your friendships. If you were a jerk, nobody shared their mammoth meat with you. So they invested heavily in being likable. Compare that to today. You barely know your neighbors. Your most meaningful daily interaction is thanking the delivery driver who hands you cold takeout. We are biologically wired for constant, deep community connection. Instead, we are isolated in tiny apartments, scrolling through artificial social feeds, wondering why we feel so desperately alone. This isolation creates a chronic, low-grade stress that ancient humans simply never experienced. Sure, they had acute stress. If a bear chased them, their cortisol spiked, they ran, and then it was over. You, on the other hand, are being chased by metaphorical bears all day long. Unread emails, credit card bills, looming deadlines. Your brain does not know the difference between a predator and a passive-aggressive Slack message from your manager. So your cortisol levels stay elevated constantly, rotting your immune system from the inside out. Ancient humans also mastered something we have completely lost: the art of sleep. Before the invention of the light bulb, humans did not try to forcefully cram 8 hours of unconsciousness into a single anxious block. They slept in two distinct phases. They went to sleep shortly after dusk for about 4 hours. Then they woke up in the middle of the night. For an hour or two they would chat, stoke the fire, reflect on dreams, or be intimate. After this quiet, peaceful interlude, they went back to sleep until dawn. Today, if you wake up at 3 a.m., you immediately panic. You stare at the ceiling, calculating exactly how tired you will be the next day. You diagnose yourself with severe insomnia. In reality, your body is just trying to sleep the way it was evolutionarily designed to. We have pathologized our own natural biology just to fit a corporate time clock. Let us look at art. In 1994, explorers found a cave in France filled with breathtaking animal paintings. These were not primitive, ugly sketches. They were sophisticated, shaded masterpieces created 30,000 years ago. Why does this matter? Because art requires immense amounts of free time. You do not spend hours deep inside a dark cave painting a lion if you are starving to death. You only do that when your stomach is full, your community is safe, and you are delightfully bored. They made flutes out of vulture bones just to hear beautiful sounds. They drilled holes into tiny seashells, walking miles just to make jewelry. They wanted to look good, feel good, and create beauty. Modern humans only make art if they can somehow monetize it into a side hustle. We have commodified every waking moment of our existence. We traded absolute freedom for perceived security. Agriculture allowed us to feed massive populations, yes, but it turned the vast majority of humanity into biological cogs in a relentless machine. We became slaves to the harvest, then slaves to the factory, and now slaves to the algorithm. You are told to grind hard in your 20s. You are told to hustle through your 30s and 40s, all so you can hopefully retire at 65 and finally relax. Do you see the profound irony here? You are spending your entire life working desperately to buy back the exact lifestyle your ancestors got for free every single day. They woke up already retired. They woke up already enough. They did not need to prove their worth by accumulating digital zeros in a bank account. They did not tie their self-esteem to a job title that will be replaced by AI in 5 years anyway. Think about the physical toll of our modern comforts. We sit in ergonomic chairs that slowly destroy our lower backs. We stare at screens that ruin our eyesight. We eat hyper-processed, sugary garbage that causes diseases our ancestors could not even fathom. And to fix this, we buy expensive gym memberships to run on treadmills like hamsters. A prehistoric human would laugh until they cried watching you pay to lift heavy metal circles indoors. We are wild animals trying to live in a digital zoo of our own making. And the mental toll is even worse. Depression and anxiety rates are skyrocketing globally. We have more luxury, more technology, and more safety than any generation before us, yet we are profoundly, inexplicably miserable. Perhaps it is because our modern environment is a total mismatch for our ancient brains. We evolved to walk long distances in nature, not to sit in fluorescent-lit cubicles. We evolved to live in tight-knit supportive tribes of 50 people, not anonymous cities of millions. We evolved to eat real, seasonal food, not things extruded from a factory tube. The agricultural revolution was incredibly successful for human DNA. It allowed us to multiply and conquer the globe. But it was a catastrophic failure for individual human happiness. The wheat domesticated us, not the other way around. We spent back-breaking centuries clearing rocks and pulling weeds just to serve a plant. And as populations exploded, hierarchy was born. Suddenly, someone claimed ownership of the land. Suddenly, you had to pay taxes, fight in wars, and bow to a king. Inequality, poverty, and systemic oppression are very recent inventions. For hundreds of thousands of years, humans lived in fierce egalitarianism. If a hunter tried to act arrogant or bossy, the rest of the tribe would mock him mercilessly until he stopped. They actively suppressed the exact type of ego that we now elect to political office. We have strayed so far from our natural blueprint that we cannot even recognize the sickness anymore. We call chronic stress hustle culture. We call sleep deprivation dedication. We call the destruction of our planet economic growth. But remember that open loop I promised you at the beginning? The biggest, most heartbreaking twist about your modern 9-to-5 grind? It is not just that it is unnatural, or that it makes you sick, or that it isolates you from your community. The real secret is that the system only works because you believe you have no other choice. You have been conditioned to fear the wild, to fear stillness, and to fear a life without a schedule. You do not have to abandon society and run back into the woods to fix this. But you do need to stop romanticizing the grind that is slowly killing you. You need to reclaim your rest without feeling a single ounce of guilt. You need to prioritize sitting around a fire or a table, doing absolutely nothing with the people you love. Because productivity is a capitalist invention, but connection is a biological imperative. Our ancestors were healthier, taller, and happier because they knew when to simply stop. They understood that the goal of life was not to produce more, but to experience more. So tomorrow morning, when your alarm violently pulls you from your sleep, remember who you truly are. You are an ancient survivor trapped in a modern suit, and it is entirely okay to be tired. Maybe it is time to start acting a little more like a caveman.